If you were to simply improve your first touch, no matter what level of football you're at currently, it would help you improve as a player pretty quickly. So we're going to go over 6 ways on how to improve your first touch in this video. That's coming up. Hi, my name is Dave, and this is Simply Soccer, where I am creating videos every single week to help you improve your game and stand out on the pitch. Now, I want to make sure you have my ebook, Game Changer. It's absolutely free if you don't already. It is a full, 50-plus page ebook. We even updated it recently. That's going to help take your game to that next level. So download that for free down below. And without further ado, let's get into the 6 ways you can improve your first touch, which is such a crucial skill in football. So the first one we're going to keep very simple, and it's to really learn how to master your first touch on the ground. And what I'm talking about is your first touch with the inside and the outside of your foot. This is the most basic level of control, but it's also the most useful and also one of the most used levels of control. Throughout a match, throughout your training, you're going to find that for most situations, you're going to be using the inside or outside of your foot with a ball on the ground or maybe bobbling slightly. So really be working on this very often, just learning how to control the ball masterfully with your first touch using both the inside and outside of both of your feet. Just doing that is going to help you so much in your matches. In fact, in the comments, if it resonates with you, put "I am mastering my first touch" and kind of let me know where you are at when it comes to your first touch and what you think you need to work on as you go through this video. Number 2 is learn and get really good at all the common ways of controlling the ball. Now, there are more fun ways to control it, plucking it out of the air with the outside of your foot and bringing it down, and you'll certainly have time to work on that. But what are the common and most used ways and most effective ways to control the ball? Let's start there. So for me, the most common and most used and most useful ways are, like we already went over, the inside and outside of your feet, your thighs, and your chest. Now, is there more ways, or are there more ways to control the ball? Absolutely. But let's get really good at these ways first, and then when you find yourself in match situations, use whichever one is easier. And what that means is, if it's coming to your thigh, you don't need to overcomplicate it and go with your foot. If it's coming to your feet, you can adjust yourself to use the inside, which is usually easier to use than the outside, for example. You don't want to overcomplicate this. If you watch a lot of professional players, the ball comes to them in the air, for example, they could probably control with the top of their foot, but there's a reason most of them go with the side of their foot, because it's just easier to do. Yes, they could do it with different parts of their body if they wanted to, but they stick with what is the most effective and the easiest, so to speak. That doesn't mean that you don't train the other areas for when you need to use them and in instinctive moments, but really get good at these common ways of controlling the ball first. And don't worry, we'll move on to the more advanced stuff later. So if you're enjoying this video so far, or you've got something out of it so far, please hit that like button. And now we're moving on to number 3. And number 3 is a big one. We're getting a little more advanced now, and it's learning situational control. So what I mean is, now that you have the basics down and you can control it with many different areas, you need to learn which to use in different situations and how to take your first touch. So this means, for example, you might need to take your first touch and then learn how to use your body to protect the ball. For example, the ball could be coming to you in the air, an opponent's on you right away, and you need to chest control it a little bit away from them and then get your body between the man and the ball. Now, there are many different examples, but what I would recommend you do is, when you're training, really make it game-like. If you're training with teammates or friends, have someone close you down as you go to control it. Or if you're using a wall, pretend someone is, and really aim to protect the ball or do whatever you're going to do next in a match in your training, because that will just train you, create good habits, so that you're not just taking a first touch and then not doing anything. You know what you need to do next, and you know what to do based on the situation. Number 4 is, once you have the basics down, start working on what's called directional first touch or directional control. Now, this can look like many different things. This could look like you chest controlling it in a certain direction so you can keep your momentum going. This could look like you spinning with the ball to beat a defender. There's many different ways to do this, but you want to learn how to start taking very efficient touches so you don't have to stop the ball and then go. It's a little more advanced, but once you have the basics down and you're competent with them, this is the next step. Again, turning with the ball, and there's many different turns with the inside and outside and so on, is such a useful skill to have. It's a little bit harder, but when you get good at it, you'll be able to turn into space quickly with one touch. You'll be able to beat opponents with one touch. You'll just have so much more in your arsenal to really maneuver in games in ways that is going to just help you be a better player. So learn how to take directional control, not just stopping it at your feet or putting it out a little bit in front of you. Learn how to go in all directions, go to the right, go to the left, yes, go forward, turn around with your first touch. Number 5 is have an idea of what you're going to do next. What we don't want to have happen is, even if we take a good first touch, is then panic because we're like, oh, what am I going to do now? Make sure you have awareness, you're looking around so you know, as soon as I take this first touch, my teammate is making that run, I have him available. Or I take that first touch and they're showing for me, or there's a space over here to my left so I can take a directional control in that direction and then dribble into the space. Now, sometimes things will change in a split second, so maybe you'll take that touch and then that space is closed down so you need to turn back. So it doesn't mean, oh, I'm gonna go do this and then never change my mind, but it gives me an idea of my options, and then it gives me something I can do immediately after taking my first touch. Again, so I don't panic or go blank or, have that kind of deer in headlights look when I'm on the ball. I'm sure you felt what that's like, and it's not great. So start learning how to really have an idea of what you're going to do next when you do get the ball. Awareness is going to help massively with this, just knowing what's around you, but get in that habit when you're training and you'll take it into your matches. And final thing I want to give you is just a practice. Once you've gotten through the basics, which you should always be working on, by the way, but you think you can try a little more advanced stuff, I want you just to practice blasting the ball at yourself off a wall. And what I mean is, when you're practicing your shooting, or you're just doing this alone, is really start having this reactionary level of first touch. And when you get really good at your first touch, even when it's blasted at you and you need to just react and throw your leg out or get behind the ball, you're going to be able to still take good first touches. And this is a great way to improve your first touch. And don't have an idea of what kind of touch you're going to take. Really react to whatever the ball does. So if it comes at your thigh, you use your thigh. If it comes at a certain part of your foot, you're able to control it that way. And just really practice controlling the ball that's now coming in faster and faster, where you have to react instead of knowing exactly what touch you're going to take. Now, in a lot of situations in matches, because the ball's coming to you at a certain speed, that you're going to take an inside touch, or you're going to use your chest or whatever else. But it's good to get really good at these reactionary style controls as well, as it's just going to help you as you go up the levels in the sport. Now, if you want to be an even better footballer, I recommend you watch this video next, which is going to go over the mistakes that the majority of players make, so you can watch that, learn what they are, make sure you're not doing them, and help yourself improve.